joined now by political analyst Dr Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Dr. Breakfast, always good to have you on Newzroom Afrika. So the ANC rightly saying that perhaps we should not speculate about the motives for the killing of these two Nelson Mandela Bay leaders. But how unsettling is it when you consider just the intense political atmosphere in the Eastern Cape at this time in the year, especially with the regional conferences going on?
There was a commission that was instituted in 2011 to uncover the truth insofar as these political killings are concerned, the Moerane Commission. Though the findings were confined to KZN, but I think we can extrapolate them, and apply them to other contexts. So I think the overarching phenomenon insofar as these killings are concerned is that they have to do with internal political dynamics of the ANC as opposed to inter-party dynamics. They have to do with access to political power, because if you have access to political power, then you have access to economic resources. Also, by and large, politicians don't want to let go of political power, because if you have access to political power, then you are protected. The other issue is that the people who are involved in these operations of political killings, I get the sense that they want to convey a message to their political opponents, those that they are in competition with, that they need to back off. They want to entrench hegemony. They don't want anyone who poses a threat to them.
And what are the implications then, if that is indeed the motive, for the ANC electing the very best of its cadres to lead, whether it be at ward councillor level, provincial, national?
I'm not sure, Tembegile, if the ANC does have the cream of the crop amongst itself. I mean, throughout history, the ANC has had ups and downs, but the difference between now and then is that the conflicts that normally break out of late within the ANC are not ideological. They have to do with who stands a chance from benefiting, the material gains. So that is the organizational culture of the ANC at the moment, that it has a lot of people within itself who are not concerned about what the party stands for, but who only want to have access to resources, live a good life, and so on.
And I was listening this morning to one of the ANC officials in Nelson Mandela Bay. I think it was the spokesperson, who was saying the issue at the moment is that many of them fear for their lives, and you wonder where protection will come from, and if the organization itself is able at this point to do anything about violence among members especially.
One of the findings again of the Moerane Commission was that the police officers, some of them, not all of them, are joining forces with these people who are politically engineering these killings. No wonder these cases, they grow legs and disappear. They are not taken seriously by the powers that be, because even police officers, sometimes, not all the time, they are also involved.
So the ANC is also, while all of this is going on, is holding the various regional conferences. We've seen the step-aside rule become a big issue, because in Mpumalanga, people elected a man accused of murder. In KZN, in eThekwini specifically, a woman accused of fraud and corruption was elected. And now the party is saying it's refining the step-aside rule, and it's looking at it as more of a working resolution, a work in progress, if you will, because at its initial drafting, there appears to not have been foresight that there'd be a complication that, yes, you say members accused of crime should step aside, but there wasn't provision for them not to be elected. How much of an issue do you think is going to be over the coming months, and especially ahead of the national conference towards the end of the year?
The step-aside principle is all well and good in theory, but in practice it has been implemented in a very factional way. No wonder it has created different understandings and interpretations. I get the sense that the Ramaphosa faction is trying to entrench its hegemony covertly, and that has, created a scope again for counter-hegemonic responses, because people are not happy about the way things are, because they can see that the implementation of this principle is one-sided. Those who are aligned to the dominant faction, when they have broken the law or when they've done something wrong, the leadership will turn a blind eye and only, elbow those ones that belong to the other faction.
So who are the people who should have been affected but have not?
You mentioned earlier on Mandla Msibi. I mean, he should never have been elected in the first place. But because some of the people at HQ, even themselves, they have vested interest in some of these outcomes of the conferences of the ANC, deliberately, they turned a blind eye to that, and then wanted to use that principle to hold back Umama Uzandile Gumede. I'm not trying to compare apples and pears, but for instance, you have a person like Uncle Weremantash. He was also implicated in the Zondo Commission. It could have been good if the ANC had said, okay, this is a senior member of the party. We want to set a good example. He needs to step aside. But when comes to, okay.
Sorry, I think I interrupted you there. Apologies, Dr. Breakfast. I wanted to ask you on the point that you're making about the leaders in the ANC from either faction, right? And we talk a lot about the implementation of the step-aside resolution by the organization. What is it about the leaders in the organization who are nominated for positions that makes it so difficult for them to step back and say, well, upon reflection, I myself realize that the situation with me and the law is far too dicey to have me elected. Let me sort that out, and then once it's clear, whilst I've been cleared, I'm more than happy to serve in the ANC and government. Why can't they do that? And why do they have to be instructed to step aside?
The Ramaphosa faction of late, they have identified some gaps in the step-aside principle. And in breaching those gaps, they have tried to refine the principle, because they can see that the step-aside principle is backfiring on them now, because those who are not of their own are ascending to positions of power. So that's why I'm saying that in theory, the theorization of it was all well and good, but the application of it has been a problem. No wonder the principle is not embraced by all and sundry. And I think the principle of step aside is going to be under the spotlight in the upcoming policy conference of the ANC. But if it is retained, it will give me an indication which faction stands a chance to emerge stronger in December in the elective conference of the ANC.
Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, good to give your thoughts as always. Thank you very much.